Well, what seems like a pretty obvious appointment has happened. Tony Brown, head coach of the Highlanders for the next 2 years. That first year will be in Super Rugby Aotearoa, as that competition seems to have been booked in for 2021, and then for one more year following that. So yeah, it seemed pretty obvious since Aaron Mauger was not reappointed. How long ago was that? A month or two ago? That Tony Brown would get the job as head coach. He's had that coaching role before when Jamie Joseph left the Highlanders. He stood up for a year. They made the playoffs that year. I did a separate video on Aaron Mauger's sacking where I looked at the teams, well, the records. Here comes a bin down my driveway, by the way. I guess speaking of Aaron Mauger leaving, and then there's fittingly a bin going down my driveway. But yeah, I did a video about their records, so if you want to compare Jamie Joseph, Tony Brown, and Aaron Mauger, how they went, check that one out, essentially. But yeah, it seems like a pretty natural step. He said previously that he was kind of, when he did the job previously, he wasn't really ready for it. He prefers to be kind of a hands-on coach, doing I think he used the words on the grass coaching, rather than that kind of higher level, almost like a director of rugby style head coach. And we don't really do directors of rugby here in New Zealand, but obviously if you're the head coach, man management and the higher level stuff is going to be more your role than the actual on the field coaching stuff. But he seems to think he's ready for that now. He's had a wee bit more time. He's developed his own coaching career, which makes sense. He talks about, being excited, looking forward to next year. He says it's well documented that in 2017 he was a reluctant head coach. He still believes his best, what he brings to the team is the on-the-grass stuff, but he thinks he's developed the right skills to be able to create the right amount of time for him to do both. So, yeah. It's an interesting one because he also retains his role as like Japanese assistant coach, which would make him the second New Zealand Super Rugby coach currently to have a side gig. So he's got the Japanese assistant coaching job, and Warren Gatland's got the Lions coaching gig for 2021. So that's an interesting trend that seemingly the Super Rugby gig is still kind of a secondary gig for some people. I don't know. You've seen other coaches leave, like Chris Boyd kind of famously left after a few years, the Hurricanes, basically saying, once you've done your time in Super Rugby, there's not really anywhere else to go because there doesn't seem to be a clear pathway to an All Blacks coaching job. Now you got Gatland and Brown who have other gigs going. So yeah, is this like a diminishing in like the value of a Super Rugby head coach? I don't know. It's definitely an interesting one. So yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to be pretty well received by Highlanders fans. I would say more so than Aaron Mauger. He's been coaching with the Highlanders for yonks. He's got that Southern connection. He had his time with the Sunwolves as well, and then Japan, obviously. So he's certainly earned his coaching stripes in the last few years, and he seems to always be pretty well regarded. So the guy knows his stuff. But yeah. Also, you've seen the signing prior to this announcement of Kazuki Himeno, and I felt like the Highlanders' Twitter was really understated when they appointed that guy, when they signed him for 2021. I can't remember how they put it. What did they call him? Excellent? No, it wasn't even that good a word. They used a word which was kind of like a fancy way of saying good. Himeno was amazing at the World Cup, man. His stats were phenomenal. So he's a hell of a signing. And you got to wonder if there's partly that Japanese connection there. It would seem to make sense. There's also talks that he might be able to get Liam Squire back to the Highlanders as well. So, man, they would have a ton of good loosies, considering the ones they've already got, like Frizzell and Michaele Tu'u and whatnot. So, yeah, they're going to be a pretty stacked side next year, you would have to imagine. But, yeah. That's pretty much it. Tony Brown will coach the Highlanders for the next couple of years. I think they're still finalising who the backroom staff is going to be. I read the article and stuff, and they said that New Zealand Rugby is also kind of lining up who some of his assistants are going to be, and that Clark Dermody who's the Highlanders forwards coach, was being developed to take over from Tony Brown from 2023. So that seems interesting. They've already got kind of a predetermined succession plan in there, which is not a silly way to do things, but yeah, it's just a wee bit different. I guess times are kind of changing, but yeah. You guys let me know what you reckon about his appointment. If you're a Highlanders fan, are you pretty pleased? I would imagine the answer to that is yes. 2 years, we'll have to see what the future of the Super Rugby competition holds, but hopefully the Highlanders are going to do well under Tony Brown, because he seems like a pretty smart fella. We should expect new signings as well. I think a coach of his caliber will be able to attract top talent, and especially the guys he's already got that kind of connection with, like the guys like Himeno and potentially Liam Squire as well. Also, if you're a Highlanders fan, let me know what you think about the split duties with the Japan job. They did mention that with Japan having all their fixtures cancelled for 2020, that's essentially meant Tony Brown's able to focus all on the Highlanders like for this year, and then all their like kind of preseason stuff. So he'll be 100% committed to the Highlanders. So I guess that is at least one kind of bit of good news, that his services won't be split in that regard. But anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts on this one, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.